Start the party!
Hey guys, it's your boy Roy, and welcome to God of War! Woohoo! This is Hades, and for some reason I'm not even seeing video. Hey, there we go. It's been a while since I actually did one of these recordings, so these guys slam dunk them into each other, or just throw them at each other. It's just a fun little brawl. These guys are adorable. I actually managed to grab one with his shield still on. I have no idea. Yeah, it's probably just a glitch. So much to talk about, yet so little to discuss. This is going to be the Hades challenge, which has a couple of the harder moments, at least for me, until you really figure them out. Both of them were sort of examples of fights where, like the first time around on my no upgrade run, I found them to be pretty painful. But eventually I got down a pretty solid run. And this time it was like, oh my god, this is even worse than I thought it would be. So, yeah, you never know how those kind of things are gonna end up going. First up is this fight against the Cerberus enemies. Not Cerberus, Minotaurs, sorry. No, God! They're centaurs! Jesus. Sorry, I need to get back into it. This fight is... I still believe it to be ridiculous, at least for a first-time engagement. Like, you have to fight a new enemy type. Imagine your first playthrough. You have to fight a new enemy type. There's 3 at any given time. You can only kill them... Now, you can kill them wherever you want, but you have to kill them in this circle here. And you have to do that 8 times. Like, damn, that's some real rough dedication right there. General tactic for them is to launch them by using this jumping triangle into air grab infinite. And what you can do is, I'm just going to call it an exploit because I have no shame to admit that I exploited this fight, and it's probably one of the more reliable exploits. If you're in the water, for some reason they will untarget you. They will not know what to do, and if you stay there long enough they will just go to their neutral behavior basically. A couple of things you need to keep in mind is, first off, the spacing, obviously, and you'll want to try and slam dunk them into each other. Like, it doesn't really happen here, but for instance, this animation, the killing animation, pushes them forward, and more than once, and I think you will even see it in this video, you will try to do the killing grab, and it will push them outside the boundaries. And the boundary is really strict at some times, and at other times it's really lenient. It's hard to sort of measure. The biggest difficulty during this fight, there you see the slam into each other. You can also do that throw into each other, which is pretty good. But the biggest difficulty for me during this engagement is keeping track of who has how many damage. Who has how much damage. So, especially when they start mingling around a bit, you really got to keep an eye out for, okay, who did I throw how many times? Is this grab that I'm going to do now, is that going to be a lethal grab or a bounce? What's going to happen? You really got to keep that in mind at times. So, you see me do the grab again, and now I know, okay, this guy is gonna go to lethal, so now I need to walk up here, grab him, go for it. Sometimes the grab will glitch, meaning they will block it. If that happens, give up. And I don't mean give up on the run, just give up on grabbing him, because he will block it every time and you will get countered into oblivion. When it comes down to movesets, they have a sort of a parry, that if they get hit, they can sometimes counter it. There you see it, that's a 2-hit parry. What's fun about it is if the parry hits an ally of them, he will also parry, and then sometimes they can sort of get into a pseudo infinite where they'll parry each other for like hours. Nah, not hours, but you know what I mean. But if you play it safe, this fight is pretty much done for once you get this strategy down. The only thing that can sometimes, well, pretty much destroy you is their shockwave, which has a really weird hitbox. I never really could figure out how it worked. Like for instance, they say sort of like sumo. I always picture E Honda saying sumo throw. And when they do that, they'll stomp their feet and a shockwave comes out, and it's sort of a cone. But even outside the cone, you will get hit. So the cone is a pretty wide arc, and its hitbox, I think it's a lingering hitbox or hurt box actually, because even if the shockwave's passed, it's still sometimes hurt you. Like, it can sometimes just deal, like, let's say 20% damage. And other times it will deal like 100. Like, I have no real idea how that thing works, so best to just avoid it. They will cancel their animation if you quickly jump in the water, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Here I'm like praying, please, please don't be the killing animation. I actually tried this fight without the pool, and it was no fun, I can tell you. I think this guy's glitched now, so I can't grab him. Oh, there you see it. See, I got really lucky with the pool. That's the shockwave. And you still need to pay attention at certain times. Like, you gotta, for instance, when they start shooting arrows at you and you're in the air, you really gotta pay attention. Like, do I have to block? Can I grab? Do I have enough time to pull this off? Stuff like that. But yeah, this video also has the big Minotaur fight, the Iron Minotaur. I have no idea what that guy is called, actually. He's the, I think he's the, is he the first real boss? No, that's the Hydra, obviously. He's the first boss in a while, at least. And he's a bit of a gimmick fight. Once you get his pattern down, he's painfully simple. Just takes a while to whittle down. And I'll show the pattern and then I'll just skip ahead because it's really fucking Jesus. It's so cheap and so easy. What they did with the boss is there's a sort of a sweet spot in him where he can't hit you. Like, there's one move that he does that can, but it is so slow and he barely ever uses it. So you can pretty much just stand there and wail on him for hours on end, which is a weird little exploit. And I actually originally fought him legit, dodging all his moves, and eventually that fight took so long compared to my no upgrade run that I got confused. I started confusing move sets, dodging the wrong move with the wrong dodge, and eventually I just died. And that fight took like an hour or something. It was insane. And then I looked up online and I saw someone do the, oh, there's the get the finale. I saw someone do that tactic. I'm like, God damn it, I should have checked online first. But yeah, you live and you learn. Yeah, lots of puzzles here. There's actually a couple of shortcuts. I never figured out how to get up here. Like, even to this day, I still don't know how to get up there. There's probably a real easy way, but I just don't know it. Up next, we have actually a part where I got stuck for a bit because I was just an idiot. Like, every time I would just fuck up one little thing. Because basically what you have to do, you have to kill 2 floors of enemies in one go. And 2 times I got killed at the very last enemy, which is just a regular mook, by doing something stupid, by showing off or being stylish. What you can really abuse here is the camera. Like, I'm using the wall and the camera right now to sort of negate that archer and negate this serpent's moveset. So I can try and get her into that loop, or I can just slam dunk her into the ground and make her taste the pavement. You can sort of use that chest for cover too. Come on, put it in. Oh, no, I thought I had it. There we go. Yeah, taste pavement, biatch. Oh wait, no social justice warriors, please don't hurt me. I only meant that she was a stupid female, not that all females are stupid. That's another point entirely. That being said, it's a fun. I really like this part. It really, like, if you play it legit, it's pretty difficult, but if you use all the exploits that this game has to your advantage, then it's really like a fun showcase just how the game functions. Like, I try to always keep one guy alive over here. I'm actually pointing at the screen, so I can slam him into, or throw him into the Medusa thingy, and use the camera to my advantage as always. Which is a fun little oversight. I actually notice myself abusing it in other games as well. That I consider like, maybe if I turn the camera, he'll cancel the move, and then I get hit in the face like a ton of bricks. Yeah, but it's been a while since I did a commentary. Right now, I still don't have internet. I probably didn't even share that. But one day, suddenly, my internet was gone, and that's actually pretty annoying story. So I'm just gonna tell it while you guys see me beat all these guys to dust. The guy at the end here, this guy killed me like 20. He just killed me 2 times. I don't know how he killed me. Oh yeah, I kept slam dunking one into the other, and then he got up and did that get up attack and killed me. So that's why I'm a bit more careful here. See? Alright. Internet. What was I talking? Yeah, internet. Suddenly one day when I got home, I always just check my internet stuff and before I make dinner, or I just put on a video. And I was noticing, like, wait a minute, I'm on my data. Because I check my phone. And there's no internet. So I'm like, fuck, not this shit again. Usually it just needs to soft reset my router. But it's not getting anything. It just has power and the Wi-Fi is active, but there's no internet. So I call the services of my provider, and they say like, oh, it's probably a router issue. Like, it could be broken. But don't worry, you have a guarantee and blah 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 blah. So they come by 2 days later, and the guy's like, yeah, your router's fine. It's probably the cable. I don't get a signal. So he checks again. Oh, the signal goes for 500 meters. So they probably hit it in the road somewhere, like during construction. And there was actually construction in the street where I live last week. So I thought, okay, maybe they hit it by accident. So next week, via another company, they suddenly appear and they say like, okay, we're gonna dig, but first we need to recheck like where it is, where's the fault. And they measure it and they say, oh, it only goes 16 meters, not 500. Okay, big difference. And I live in a sort of an apartment, 3rd floor. So that probably means, due to the way the cabling goes, that the cable is busted inside someone else's house in one of their walls. But of course they aren't home at that time, so we need to make another appointment. And then they appear and they still can't find it, they still can't fix it. And they say like, okay, we gotta make a new cable, so we'll just pull a new cable. But to do that, we need to make a hole here, drill a hole there and stuff like that. And I'm like, but those are through other people's houses, I can't just do that. We need permission. And one of the people said no. He said, no, you're not gonna dig in my house. Blah, 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 my property. So I didn't have internet. But how it works in the Netherlands is every provider company has a different type of cable. Like one of them called KPN uses the phone line, and the other uses the television line, which is called Ziggo. So I asked one of the mechanics who worked for the company I was with, like, does that other cable still work? And he said like, you want to split, you want to change provider. I understand. And he checked it and it worked out. So I had to switch providers, and they were actually really helpful. Like they even gave me my money back for the weeks that I didn't have internet. And this Thursday, so it's in 2 days from now, I'll finally have internet again after 3 weeks of not having it. So that's a pretty sweet release. Now the attentive people will notice that even in that time I still uploaded videos. But Roy, how did you do that? Well, that's very simple, my friend. I rendered them, put them on my phone, and took my phone to work, bring your phone to work day, and uploaded them on my work computer. My dedication to you is on display. Oh, that was horrible. I also had to put my thumbnails on there and getting it off and stuff. So that's been happening. At the same time, I also now have a new type of heating system that sort of has a smart meter that can check how much power I use. And of course it doesn't work. It constantly keeps resetting. It's broken as hell. So that's another fun little thing. Here I'm abusing just every thing in existence. You can just cheese them by using this little piece of cover here, which is fun. Because the Medusa will never go in, not fully at least, and the Centaurs won't either. There's some sort of wall over here that they're not allowed to cross. But sometimes they can attack with the arrows. Like now she's in here, and then I can just wail on her. And the general tactic I'm going to use here is eventually grab all the minions and lure them back here and then just spam them to death. Because I'm running out of health options. I think this is the last engagement that I have to do. At least in this section. What else is new and happening? I actually started playing, like I haven't touched an action title in a while. Except the Yakuza series, which is fun, but it's not really an action title, you know. It has a different emphasis. You can really feel when you get into the mechanics, like you saw with my Kiwami videos, if anyone here check them out. Like, it's not an action game. Doesn't have that. Oh, that was real close. Ooh, that's not a lot of health. It doesn't have the same type of polish when it comes down to combat. I'm actually stuck right now in the challenge room because one enemy cannot be hit unless you use items or whatever, or get hit yourself. I have not found a single way to hit him without getting hit, which is bonkers. Just imagine that existing in this game. So yeah, I haven't really been playing that. I played Splinter Cell Double Agent a lot the last couple of days. I've been listening to the soundtrack because I don't have Spotify or YouTube on my computer, so I only have a few soundtracks remaining on my system. And one of them is the Double Agent soundtrack, and I was like, hey, that soundtrack's pretty good. And I only played the 360 version. I think I played it once or twice. I finished it once or twice on PC, which was a horribly broken release. And it's a rare game, not in the sense that it's rare to find, but in the sense that there's two versions. And the only other time that I really know of that happened was with Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands, which had and also The Force Unleashed, by the way, which had a last gen version, which was completely different, like different story, different combat and everything. And then you have the next gen, so in that time Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, which had completely different story, different characters, different combat, different mechanics and stuff. And I mostly grew up playing the PlayStation 2. I had the GameCube version, or the Wii version, I think. And then I bought the PC version. And it's a really good game. Like, I don't know why. Well, I sort of know why, because they just botched the technical stuff. But that game is brutal. Also in terms of difficulty, usually I play on hard because I'm a quote-unquote Splinter Cell veteran. I have done my share of accolades in that series. But I decided, you know what, I don't want a tough time. I've had that enough with Kiwami. I just want a relaxing experience. I'll just play on normal, like a casual. And it's still pretty fucking brutal. Like, this game does not screw around, especially with its morality system. Like, people keep saying, like, oh, Mass Effect and Dragon Age and stuff like that, really good stories and impact, but I'm engaged with this one a lot more than I was with those games. Like, there's not a lot of choice to be made, but if there's one thing that game does really well is these HQ missions, because the general plot of the game is the main character, his daughter dies, so he gets into a depression, and then he goes undercover because he needs to do, like, they give him the toughest job available, like sort of a suicide mission. And he has to go undercover, and between, I think every one or two missions, there is an undercover mission in which you are just in their HQ and you have to do some assignments for them, like assemble mines or something mundane. And during that time, like, you have like 20 minutes to complete the main objective, and then you have a shitload of side objectives. Here you see me pull them all and just run back like, oh my god, I don't want to die. And then you can just spam the plumes. But there's a ton of objectives, like collecting files on them, breaking into their private quarters and finding stuff, bugging their server, everything. But you can't be caught, because if you get caught in a restricted area, you'll lose reputation with them, and if the reputation bar empties completely, it's game over. And if you do certain specific actions, it's instantly done. Like, they'll know, like, okay, I just saw you planting the bug in the server. Yeah, you are obviously not one of us, so bye. And that is tense, especially because you don't really know where everything is, so you're also sort of exploring while being stealth, and you also don't have any of your equipment. It's just you and your wits, basically. And it can get pretty brutal. It's a really fun experience. Well, fun, let me put it this way, it's the first time in a while that I've been playing a video game in which I could not put the controller down, which is pretty rare for me these days. Like, generally when let me just give you an example. I usually get up at 6:30. That's when my alarm goes for work, and that means I generally go to bed, like, I get usually around 9:30 I go to my bed, and then I read some books and some comic books, and I go to bed like 10:30 or 11. Then I wake up at 6:30. That's what my day looks like. And generally, like, for instance, a new DLC launches or a new game launches, I'll still go to bed at that time. I'll just, okay, I'll play again tomorrow. But with this, I just kept on going. Like yesterday, it was just so intense. I go, gotta finish this mission. I want to see how it ends. Even though I already know, but it's still, it was hard to put down, and that's deserving of like deserves to be mentioned. The reason why it flopped, well, it didn't really flop. It was still, I think it sold decently well. I never really checked actually. Wow, that was really close. Is the game had a ton of technical issues. The console obviously was held back by the fact that there were 2 versions, and one of them was a Wii version, which was pretty hyped back then because hey, it's the Wii and everybody was having a Wii. And for some reason they forgot to turn on, or didn't know how to, the shaders. So there was no shadows in the game at all. Like everything was just pure color. So you had to use the scan visor thingamajig, whatever you call it, the night vision goggles, and not even night vision goggles. You had to use that. There was a little bar that you can tell like if you could be seen or not. And it had a lot. You just had to use that, and there were a lot of like shovelware motion controls, like wiggle the stick to lockpick the door, which barely fucking worked. So that thing was an abomination, even though the game was really good. And the Xbox 360 and PS3 version were, well, first off, they had the most horrible interface known to man. Ton of loading times, really low frame rate. Like there was a ton of frame rate issues. And the PC version was the most buggy of all. Like, getting it to run right now is impossible. Like, I've tried it. That thing doesn't even work. It will just crash whenever it feels like it. If you can get it to run, that's a miracle. Outside of that, nothing works in the game. For instance, every mission has star objectives, which are sort of secondary, and if you beat them, you get an unlock, like a special skill, or a special equipment, or a boost to a certain type of equipment. It doesn't work on the PC version. Like, even if it says unlocked, you will never get it. So, like, one of the first unlocks, which is almost mandatory, is a sound emitter, which allows you to emit sound in a certain direction. And the game is sort of balanced around it. You will never get it on a PC, ever, unless you hack the game. The game had a ton of frame rate issues and desktop crashes on PC, even at the time, because it was specially made for Vista. Well, there you go. That's problem number 1. And I think it was also just maybe too difficult for the more casual audience, because Splinter Cell, at least like every other Splinter Cell game, they were difficult to a degree, but only in the stealth sense. Like, you could still sort of go through it, but Double Agent just starts off difficult. Like the first mission, I think it's the first, yeah, it's the first mission. Like, you immediately have a lot of guards, there's cameras, there's footsteps in the snow that you have to deal with, searchlights, and then when you think you've done it all, it ends with a sort of a miniature maze section where you have 6 minutes to disarm a nuclear missile. And it sort of does this really quickly because it knows, like, hey, let's just get to the double agent stuff when you're undercover, and it wants to introduce the timer. So I get that, but it's pretty brutal. Like, I can imagine a lot of casual players buying it and being like, okay, fuck this is way too tense. And after that, you have a mission with no gear. In the third mission, then you finally have all your gadgets, and then it's actually a lot easier. So it's a game that actually starts off okay, then gets really difficult, and then becomes easier again. So yeah, that game. But I'm also really hyped now for the Ninja Gaiden DLC for Neo. I'm just gonna call it the Ninja Gaiden DLC because that's what it is for me. They put in the great ancestor of Ryu Hayabusa, called Jin Hayabusa, and you can actually get the dragon sword and the original purple outfit from Ninja Gaiden, and you can learn the Izuna drop. Like, yes please. And you can learn another ability, but I don't know what it is. But I want it bad. So yeah, still no internet. I'm actually really curious now, because I know Starkiller, who's watching this video, hey Starkiller, has played and mastered and been a real badass at The Force Unleashed, but have you played the PS2 version? I'm not sure. Never heard you talk about that one. And if so, how is it? Is it any good? Because in the case with the Forgotten Sands, like Prince of Persia, from what I know, that's a superior version, even though I never played it. And the same goes for a lot of people for the Double Agent game, where they consider that version, the last gen version, to be superior. So yeah, let me know. Upcoming, we have our circular engagement. Sometimes it's a bit confusing in my head, like what happened on which run. Like, was that on the no upgrade run or on this one? But I think I do some glitches here, like try to pop them out of the boundaries. You can at least abuse boundaries here on the big engagement, because what you can do is you can launch them and then do, I think it's called Orion's Harpoon, and then slam dunk them into the depths, basically into the pit, which is an instant death for all enemies. So that's nice. I actually really like this engagement coming up because it does something that a lot of games for some reason don't do. At least not anymore. Like even games like Demon Souls, Dark Souls and stuff, Ninja Gaiden also sometimes generally shies away from it. It mixes enemy types together. Like there's in this fight there are Minotaur, Centaur, archers, normal soldiers, and that's it, I believe. Yeah, that's 4 enemy types together, like different enemy types, which is, yeah, I can respect that. Just add some more harpies and then we're good to go. No, please, no harpies, please, no harpies. I'm done with harpies. Harpies are done with me. I really need to step up on my recording game because I'm walking way behind. I still have a couple of God of War videos, and I have the complete recording of Devil's Third ready to go. I just need to put my voice on it, give it my own special little brand. Yeah. Whew. What else is new? What to talk about? I talked about internet, which sucks terribly. Yeah, about I don't know anything to talk about. Wow, that sucks. There's a lot of things I'm really doing, but it's not really interesting. Okay, let's just try it. Zenith, yes, Zenith. Zenith is a comic book. It's by my favorite writer, Grant Morrison, but it's one of his first works. I don't know if anybody here ever does that, but like if you have a favorite writer or actor or something, like you'll look out their earlier works and sort of see how that holds up. And with this, generally I can put myself in a time frame, like, okay, this is when he was young and hadn't written that story yet, so he's like trying out shit. But that story was hard to get through. It's 4 volumes, and the first one was pretty good. Second one was me being like, okay, sort of, I guess it's fun, but nothing special really. Really forgettable mostly. And then the volume 3 hits, and it's basically a badly written light version of one of his later works. And that one is one of my favorites. So when I started reading it, oh wow, this is really cool. And then I started reading it, and it's horrible. I could not get through it. I eventually, I sometimes go to a cafe nearby, just buy a drink to sort of force myself to read. So I can just sit there, just drink a drink, have a drink, while reading. And I was just sitting there like with my drink and just browsing for like, gotta get through this and sort of understand what's going on so I can at least read volume 4. And volume 4 is a lot better right now. I haven't really gone that deep into it, but it was pretty interesting nonetheless to see where the writer came from like a creative standpoint, like talent wise. But I'm never gonna read that one again. Like I got a special row in my bookcase dedicated solely to that writer, and I'm gonna put it in there because yeah, he's my favorite writer, but fuck if I'm never gonna read that again. Unless I missed something, like maybe later on I'll read something and be like, ah, that's what he was going for. Now I need to reread it, but I doubt it. I'm really finding myself lacking a lot of time these days. Even though I have a ton of time, I just have a lot that I still want to play. Like I want to finish Yakuza 0 and Kiwami sort of 100%, so that I at least saw all the sub-stories and all that stuff. Which for me are the meat of the game, actually, once you've completed them. There's a ton of stuff to do. And I sort of, like, some things I like the disco dancing and the pocket racing. Other things I'm like, yeah, I don't really care, like Mahjong or... what else is there? Darts or pool. Fuck that, I don't really... I did like bowling. That's that. I tried, really tried, because I wanted to make my channel like, oh, this exclusive niche games, put those in there too. I couldn't get through Death by Degrees on hard difficulty. And I don't mean that in a skill sense, but more in a boredom sense. Like, that game has the most god-awful music I have ever heard. It just does not get you hype at all. Here I'm gonna try and slam dunk him in, I think. That's what I'm trying, yeah. Like, I just couldn't get through it. Ah, there we go. And I also played Rygar a bit, which is basically what God of War is based on. It's a small-time action game. And it's really good, and it's really fun, but it's not something my mind is set to. Like, at least not at this point. It's sort of an open-world-esque game. That's sort of a maze. Everything looks the same. There's a ton of directions that you have to follow. It's really fun, but it's not something my mind is in right now. And then I still have Shinobi, Kunoichi, and Chaos Legion that I bought in my bundle, because I bought a bundle of good games a month back. I haven't touched Chaos Legion yet, so I'll probably play that next. Kunoichi and Shinobi, yeah, I finished Shinobi on the PS3 on the PSN version. I'm not sure if I want to do that again. It's a great game, but damn is it difficult. With a horrible camera. It's got a great idea, a great concept, but and Kunoichi was way better. Like, I can really see myself digging into that game. Chaos Legion, no idea. But I also really want to buy Bullet Witch. I've been looking up on it online. It looks pretty interesting. It sort of looks like Piano 3, but then with demons. And a bit more different. Like, it's hard to explain. I really need to just try it out. It's only like $5. And I really want to play the Prince of Persia on the Wii, but that means I need to buy batteries for my Wiimote. I'm too lazy to do that. And getting my Wii to work is just annoying. Like, you gotta gotta boot my Wii up in my Wii U and stuff like that. It's just stupid. Alright, here's the boss fight. I'm just gonna explain the short bit because, or else it's gonna take forever. You stand here and you do ST and you just spam that forever in this little hotspot. You gotta be a bit careful because when he rips his arm back and puts it back down, like you saw there, that hits. The slam, you gotta block. Like, it will give you sometimes it will give you an animation that says, oh, you got hit. Doesn't damage you, so you're safe. The only thing that can hit you is the grab. So if he does the grab motion, roll back twice or 3 times to the bottom right corner. You can also sort of iframe through it with... oh, there I fucked up. But it doesn't really matter because he constantly heals you. Like, you can use the Artemis blade, go through the grab, sort of, a bit. But I couldn't really get that timing down. So I'll just stand over here and get my free heals. This, what you just saw, is the boss fight, except for hours, basically. If you stand on the left side, there's the grab, and I get hit, and I don't really care. It doesn't even deal a lot of damage. It's like 10% or something. Then you just get back up here. Get back up here. The only thing you really need to keep in mind is that if you go to the left side, he has a different moveset. His moveset differs based on which side you're on. So just stand over here. Like, if you stand too much to the left, he'll do that stomp a lot more. So try to be a bit more to the right. Right now I'm positioning myself a bit badly, but I learn. Okay, I'm gonna take a small break, and then we're gonna fast forward and finish this video. Hey, we did it! Hope you enjoyed that little soundtrack of Prince of Persia Warrior Within. Best soundtrack ever. That was the challenge of Hades, basically. Now we just need to do a small puzzle and one more engagement in which I die horribly. I think I died here during this fight. Did I? Oh no, I died on my no upgrade run. That's when I died. I really like, and it's a small thing, but it goes a long way for me, and it's something a lot of games forget, is that they kept nearly all of the original designs. Meaning, like Hades here, Kratos, Zeus, all the gods that are introduced in this game have the same appearance in God of War 2, 3, and I think also Ascension. I haven't played Ascension, so I can't tell you. I still want to play that one too. God damn it, so many games to play. Thankfully, there's no new games coming out that are good, so that's sort of something, I guess. That sounds really depressing, but it is sort of true. There was a really fun topic online on Twitter. What are the top 3 games that you bought in 2017? I was really annoyed that it said bought and not played. Because I was thinking like, okay, what are the top 3 games? Okay, Neo. I like Neo, but it's not the best game I played this year. Like I played Vanquish and a lot of other games which are a lot better. Okay, I'll put Neo down. I mean, it's the best game that I played this year that came out this year. What else? Yakuza 0 came to mind, but I'm like, actually that came out in Japan like 2 or 3 years ago, so it's not exactly fair to pick that, but you know, I'll let it slide. And the only thing that came to my mind on the other side was, okay, maybe Breath of the Wild, but I only played that at a friend's house and it was fun, but it wasn't, I don't know, it really lacked something in my opinion. So Super Mario Odyssey, I mean, it's not out yet, but probably buy it. So there's not a lot of good stuff coming out, that's for sure. I wonder how we're gonna deal with that later on, but yeah, them's the breaks. It gives me enough, because next year there's nothing coming out that I want. Like, usually there's at least something that's announced that makes me go like, ooh, I want to sink my teeth into that. And there's nothing. I might like, okay, the one game I might buy next year is the Evil Within Complete Edition, because I'm not buying the one now. I'm probably gonna wait until the Complete Edition hits and just enjoy that. But yeah, there's not a lot of stuff coming out that really makes me go like, ooh, I really want that. Like, I'm done with Souls games. The whole genre, the whole subgenre, I'm pretty much done with it. I really don't care about it anymore. Bloodborne was great. If they make a second Bloodborne, I'll probably buy it. But Dark Souls itself, unless it really does either something new or just becomes what they did with Dark Souls 1, but more open, like then I might be open for it. Like the games are too linear for me right now. If there's one thing that I really like almost about Dark Souls 1 is that, and the same with Demon Souls, especially Demon Souls, is that every time I revisit it, I can play a different way. And not necessarily maybe a different way, but I can play a different order. So I can say like, okay, I'm first going to do this mission, and then I'm going to go there. Like in Dark Souls, you can make it so that your first boss is the Four Kings. And I once did that, and it's really fun and challenging to sort of customize the game that way. And if they go back to something like that, yeah, I would be open for it. But the combat always has become too important for the game, in my opinion. Like it does too little, but it asks too much, if that makes any sense. What I mean by it is the combat is really important now. Like it's the meat of the game. Like every boss is combat, combat, combat. And the combat engine is really bad, in my opinion. Like I never really played those games for the combat and be like, oh my god, it's combat so good. No, it's freaking boring at times. So yeah, no idea where that's gonna go, but at least I have enough gaming time. I mean, there's nothing coming out, so like I said, I'm just quietly gonna focus on my Yakuza games. Kiwami 2 is coming out sometime in the next century, so that might be something. New God of War is gonna be ass. There's no new Ninja Gaiden or Neo 2 or Devil May Cry 5. That's not gonna happen. So no Vanquish 2 either. No Bayonetta 3 or a wonderful 102. I doubt that's gonna happen. I wonder what Platinum Games is working on right now. That would be interesting to know. Maybe Bayonetta 3, like for a Nintendo Switch. It would be like, I don't know. I honestly don't know what they're doing. I have to say that I have been a bit disappointed in their quality of late. I know that Nier Automata did a lot for them, but from what I've seen about it and what I've played, it wasn't that interesting for me. Especially stats emphasis, which just annoys me to no end. And their Star Fox game wasn't that good in my opinion. And I didn't like the Turtles game. And for some reason, the Transformers game never clicked with me. Like, I can acknowledge that it has great combat. It's sort of like the best hits collection of all their fighting engines put together in sort of a brilliant mix. And I like the art style, I like the music, but for some reason I could never get through it. There was just something about it. Maybe it's because I never really liked Transformers growing up. I was more of a Beast Wars guy. Nice little glitch there. Korra was so-so. So yeah, I'm not really sure what they're up to. Like Bayonetta 2 was excellent. If they had made one small adjustment, it would have been the best game in the genre. And that would be that the fact that enemies just cancel out hits and that there's too much emphasis on witch time. Like if they made that small adjustment, like programmed the game in the mindset of Bayonetta 1 where witch time is an addition instead of a focus, that would have been great. That would have easily been the best game in the genre, like par none. Like that game is so good, so good. Whew. Yeah, wow. It's like I didn't expect when I said like, oh, there's nothing coming out. Thankfully, and I really think like there is nothing coming out. That makes me go like, oh, I really want to play this. I'm getting old. I'm gonna end up this old grumpy guy who has children eventually, and the children will say, "Ah, Daddy, I really want to buy Call of Duty World War 7." I'm like, what are you gonna play, Daddy? I'm gonna play Ninja Gaiden. Not even black. I'm just gonna play Ninja Gaiden 2004, the original, the good one, when it was true and pure in vision. You know, really old, annoying guy. I'm gonna put this. Is the satire fight still here? Is that in this video? I think it is. It is! Yay! Yeah, this is just me slam dunking them into the ground. But doing it this special way. Basically a nice little get over here, so I'm just gonna... Alright, come on. Yeah, slam dunk. Aw, no slam dunk. Aw. Okay, put it. Woohoo! That's one! Oh, I like doing that. Like, the game really holds itself back by not allowing you to do that more often. Like, it really needs to play with that little mindset a lot more. Like, you can just do whatever you want with your environment. You just slam dunk them into the pavement, slam dunk them into the wall, slam dunk them into the ground, or just down a giant well of death. Ah, so serene, so satisfying. Damn, yeah, there really isn't much coming out. Alright. At least Mario Odyssey's coming out, so that's great. And they've announced Metroid Prime 4, so fuck it. I'm down. I haven't played the DS version of the new Metroid game. I heard it's okay. They made a small adjustment to the story, which is okay, I don't really mind. But from what I heard, and yes, people are actually saying this, it's the Dark Souls of Metroid games. Oh my god. When I hear that, my heart just goes like, oh. Because apparently the game is a lot more slow pace. You really got to take your time with how to kill certain enemies and stuff like that. Really, guys, it's the Dark Souls of... I really like that Mega 64 video where just say, like, everything is the Dark Souls of its generation. Like, Pac-Man was the Dark Souls of... Get out of here, man. Fuck that, honestly. Nobody cares. It's just so stupid when people say that. It's just lazy, and it means nothing. Like, Dark Souls was great for what it did, and it really brought a nice little boom to the industry to make them show, like, okay, difficult games do sell if the difficulty is done well. So if the game is difficult because it's fair and well thought out, basically. But everything left in its wake, like people saying, like, I beat Dark Souls, so I'm a great gamer. Dude, everyone can beat Dark Souls. That's basically the entire premise of the game. It's not difficult, it's just that you need to pay a bit of attention, and then it's real easy. Like, if you just memorize the patterns, then you're done. That's basically it. You won the game. I have a friend who doesn't watch these videos. And if he does, hello. And he's a horrible gamer. Like, he barely ever finishes a single video game. He sometimes put goals, like, I gotta finish 10 video games this year. He just gets really hyped up and just plays a game for a few hours or a few days and then goes on to the next one. And he's not really good. He always plays on easy or normal. And if he dies like 1 or 2 times, he's like, fuck this game sucks, even though he made a mistake. And later on he admits that, but... And he beat all Dark Souls titles and Bloodborne, and I think he even beat the DLC of Bloodborne, and I think he even beat New Game Plus Dark Souls 1 or 2, not sure, or 3, one of them. He beat it all. So that for me was the big proof, like, these games aren't really hard. It's just that they really got that stigma of like, oh, they're the hardest game around. Like, dude, top 10 the most difficult games. I think Dark Souls would be like title number 2 billion. It's not that difficult. Okay, I'm going on a rant here. I'm sorry. That was this video. Next up is the Mountain of Madness. My least favorite part of the game. I really hate that part. Alright, guys, take care.